There's this moment during the opening of Jujutsu Kaisen where we see our protagonist sat down next to this young boy. Someone who seems to be a crucial part of this story. Someone who will most likely spend amazing times with our main character. But for some reason, every time this opening is shown, it flickers. For an instant. Does it mean anything? The thing is, you don't have much time to think about it, because as soon as you begin to watch this show, you realize that you might be watching something truly great, something that might become the next best thing. Your eyes are in absolute awe. Everything is so fluid, everything is so hype, but you then ask, is this anime truly that great? Truly that revolutionary? Or is it just pretty visuals with a simple story? But then comes these moments where we witness the growth of these characters, how they were able to withstand everything they went through, how they became so powerful, but also how frightening they truly are. It makes us think for a second. Makes us think about ourselves, makes us think about our own humanity. And to explain this further, we need to go back. We need to talk about the mind behind this anime, and that man is Sung-Hoo Park. The Korean director has been slowly gaining a reputation for his wonderful execution of fight scenes. You could start to see it in his directorial debut in Garo Vanishing Line, and went on to develop that even further with The God of High School. He would watch YouTube videos of different styles of martial arts to replicate each one as best as possible, performing moves in front of his mirror to try and imagine what the characters' movements were between one manga panel and another. Storyboarding a number of episodes involved so much with the key animation process and working extremely fast even for an animator's standards. That's how meticulous this man is, wanting to portray every movement in such a smooth way. His talent and vision is nothing less than extraordinary, and alongside brilliant animators, they are able to produce something that can be considered quite unique in the anime industry. But something was missing. Something that could reach so many people. Something that could potentially become the new greatest shonen battle anime. And then came a project. One that was to adapt a quite popular manga, and that manga was Jujutsu Kaisen. The manga, written and illustrated by Gege Akutami, is about a young boy called Yuji Itadori who ends up eating one of the cursed fingers from the legendary and feared demon Ryomen Sukuna. Initially, our protagonist is momentarily succumbed to Sukuna's presence, but is then quickly able to gain control of his own body again. This causes Satoru Gojo, a special grade Jujutsu Sorcerer, to bring Itadori in and turn him into a Jujutsu Sorcerer himself, and supposedly convinces his superiors that he will force Itadori to eat all the remaining Sukuna fingers so that they can rid of the feared demon all in one go. This, I feel, is the best way to explain how this story starts. And honestly, whilst intriguing, it's not exactly groundbreaking, which isn't a bad thing per se. You can tell it's influenced by so many manga and anime that came before it. Akutami himself has admitted that Togashi's work on Yu Yu Hakusho and Hunter x Hunter, combined with Tite-Kubo's work on Bleach, were essential for the development of his manga, and was even influenced by the style of many others too, such as Masashi Kishimoto's work on Naruto and Yusuke Murata's work on Eyeshield 21 and One Punch Man. For someone who has either read or watched these manga and anime, you can definitely see the inspiration. But what really grabbed my attention were a few moments that makes me think that this story has the potential to go even further beyond, because Jujutsu Kaisen holds something special, and Sung-Hoo Park was for sure the best person to bring Akutami's story to life. How every motion seems to glide right in front of your eyes. How long shots were used to show everything that is going on, but also able to cut scenes with minimal animation when needed. Illustrating the character's face, demonstrating the impact of a punch, but most of all, focusing on the turmoil that each character is going through. And no better is this conveyed than through Itadori midway through the first season. But to talk about this, we need to re-examine its first anime opening. We need to talk about that young man sat next to our main character. Anime openings normally show what is about to happen without actually spoiling anything. for the most part. But Jujutsu Kaisen does something different. With each episode, a new character is added to the opening, one that only appears when they are first introduced in the show, as if its knowledge is the same as our own, as if we are Itadori himself, except for that young man. We have yet to meet him, but for some reason, he's been there since the first episode. And so, we ask, who is he? Why is he so important? And then midway through the first season, we finally meet him. We finally see Itadori spending time with him. We finally meet Junpei, a young man who is being manipulated by a cursed spirit, one that is clearly not trustworthy, but surely it would only be a matter of time until Itadori saves him. After all, our protagonist's biggest objective is to save every single person in this world, so he doesn't have to regret the way he lives. A promise he not only made to his grandfather, but one that is deeply ingrained in him, and thus one can only conclude that Junpei will for sure be saved. Right? Right? Shockingly, Itadori sees Junpei die right in front of his eyes. Our expectations shattered, our emotions twisted and manipulated, and all we feel is pain. The dream of being a Jujutsu sorcerer alongside his new friend, gone. It was here where I was first convinced that this anime was more than meets the eye, especially with how the anime shows Itadori's grief in such an impactful way. We feel what he feels. We wanted a different outcome. We wanted what was shown in the opening, but that's not what we got. What makes this even worse is the opening of the next episode, continuing to show Itadori next to Junpei. Only now, it reveals a tear going down his face when he's riding the subway, as if it was all a dream. This was all done purposefully, to convince us that things would be different, just like our protagonist wanted. This is a perfect way to use the narrative that exists and then expand on it further in such a clever way. But what it also demonstrates is that fight scenes need these emotions, to challenge us, to make us feel things we don't want to give it meaning. Which is one of the things I love about Shōnen battle anime. It's also why I'm not a massive fan of superhero films of the past decade, specifically ones that come from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, while I do think that the execution of 23 films to tell an overarching story is quite well done, I'm not a big fan of each film ending on a massive battle with so many characters. Yes, fight scenes are cool. Yes, I do want to feel the awe and wonder of seeing our characters fight against each villain. But I don't want enormous battles that are shot in a messy way and pretend it's actually something cool when in fact it looks ugly. I don't mean to be harsh, because I actually have fun with all of these movies and there are moments that do touch me in unexpected ways. But I want the visuals to look the best that they can, and I want the story and character development in these scenes to be truly meaningful, which is why I actually quite like the end fight scene in Civil War. It's just focused on 3 characters and how the story completely revolves around them. That's all I needed to feel connected to these characters. It doesn't need to be the greatest thing ever. It just needs to be intimate. I mean, this isn't something unheard of in American cinema. With westerns, a duel between 2 people isn't really about who shoots first, but rather it's about why they are shooting each other. And it's finding about the why that makes a duel scene so fascinating. Star Wars even did this with the Luke and Vader fights in Empire and Return of the Jedi. It's not about having our protagonist fight against the antagonist, it's about the connection they share, and how one inadvertently is becoming like the other. Again, illustrated beautifully with each shot. These are what fight scenes are all about. Without it, it's meaningless. And I feel for quite a long time, Shōnen battle anime are by far the best at creating these intimate moments between the protagonists and antagonists. Because it rarely ends up being about saving the world, but rather about their own personal struggles that force them into this situation. We are not witnessing heroes versus villains. We are witnessing people that we can relate with in some form or another. Showcased perfectly in this scene when Itadori witnesses Junpei's death. this might be the most impactful moment of this entire season. But while this may be true, there are still so many other scenes that contain so much weight to them. And there is one I want to talk about. One that happens at the end of the first season. Itadori and Nobara are imprisoned by a poisonous technique. One that will kill them with time. But they are still doing whatever it takes to overcome what seems to be an impossible situation. And the antagonist knows this. Knows that if he waits, he and his brother will win. Time is on their side. He thinks about it in a logical manner. Try not to focus on the pain that his brother is enduring. They will win. All he needs to do is wait until his brother calls out for him. And suddenly in this one moment, the technique is released. We then watch Itadori and Nobara absolutely destroying their adversaries in one of the coolest cinematic sequences ever. That's right, not just animation, because while the animation is certainly top tier, with so much polish, with so much elegance, it becomes even more astounding when the image stops, to show both of Itadori's and Nobara's faces moments before delivering their crushing blows. Purposefully edited alongside the music to convey this instant in such an engaging way, intercutting between their faces constantly, flashes of white against a black background, and ultimately revealing our protagonists in their fixed positions after their attacks, with the music reaching its climactic point. It's so insanely stylish that all I was thinking of was how unbelievable this whole sequence was. However, what enhances this more is seeing the antagonist witness his brother die in front of him, and thus ends up shedding tears. Itadori and Nobara react to this, understanding that these are not your typical cursed spirits. These antagonists used to be humans. They have emotions. We can relate to what they are feeling. And so does Itadori. So when he delivers the final blow in yet another amazing sequence of animation, our main character simply says, "I'm sorry." It's this that elevates this anime and prevents it from just being your typical shonen. Whether it's Itadori trying to save Megumi, or Nobara defining what it means for her to be a woman, or even how Itadori grows as a fighter through the expertise of his best ofrendo. How I wish cinema could portray action scenes like this. And it can. We've seen it done before. Edgar Wright, for instance, is a master at this. Films like Drive move the camera in purposeful ways to express everything as meaningful as possible. Even Zack Snyder's Justice League gave me this feeling numerous times. And Sungu Park, alongside his staff, does this too. So it's no surprise that the Korean director storyboards so much. Because when you think about every frame so meticulously, when you plan it so much beforehand, you feel like every shot has a purpose. It's not just there to tell a story, it's there to show it. It's what makes anime and cinema so beautiful to watch. The question now is, will Jujutsu Kaisen reach its potential? I honestly don't know, but for now, it doesn't matter. It's doing something fresh, because this isn't just fantasy. This is relatable. This can be real, as it happened to me. I remember being bullied as a kid. I remember the feeling it was when people made fun of you. I lived abroad and I felt foreign. I came back to my home country and I still felt foreign, and thus made me feel like I was insignificant. I wasn't like everybody else. I was different, and it made me believe that being different was bad. People would laugh at me. People would talk behind my back. All I wanted was to just be myself, to live my own life. I tried my best to keep others happy, but nothing worked. Until one day, when I was 12 years old, my arch nemesis started fighting against me, and a friend of his started helping him. I had no chance to win this fight. I knew I needed help, and so I looked to my right. I saw all my friends standing there, looking at what was happening, and did nothing to help. That was the moment. That was the moment where something clicked inside me. The rage I had been building up for years and years all just came out, and thus yelled as loud as I could. I full-on attacked my arch nemesis. I don't remember exactly what I was doing, but I couldn't stop until I saw blood coming out of his face. I snapped back into reality. I realized what had happened and saw him walk away to the school infirmary. To be clear, I don't like fighting. I don't like hurting other people. But here, I had no choice. I had to do something. It felt like as if I was in a shonen battle anime. As if I had discovered my inner potential. As if I had the power inside me that was suddenly awakened. I looked around and people feared me. They realized I was someone not to mess with. And for the first time ever, I had some sort of respect. But at the same time, it was terrifying. I hurt someone else, and I didn't want to. I was Gon. I was Naruto. I was Ichigo. And I was Itadori. Shonen battle anime isn't just fantasy. It can be real. And one of the reasons that it resonates with people so much is not because we want to be like them. It's because we are like them. We too struggle to do what we want. We too want to do the best that we can. But sometimes it's not enough. As Itadori learned with Junpei's death. As Itadori learned when he was forced to kill someone who used to have a life. And it's through these moments that we are reminded of how human we really are. I can't say Jujutsu Kaisen has reinvented shonen battle anime. That's too strong of a statement to make. But what I can say is this. At first, you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention. And I can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you for watching my video. I had a blast talking about Jujutsu Kaisen, and so it would mean a lot to me if you could hit that like button. And if you want more content like this, I would be forever grateful if you could subscribe. My channel means nothing without you. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.